What about when you're saying something and then your wife twists your words? Now, that's really easy to say when she's the one doing the twisting, but heaven forbid it's ever the opposite direction, because we all know that we never twist her words. Raise your hand if you've never twisted your wife's words, right? Because we just don't do that. I was watching an interaction between my wife and I, and she said one of the most horrifying things that a woman can say. She said, "I've been thinking." Share with me through the chat or unmute yourself and tell me what she really means when she says, "I've been thinking." You need to listen to me. I'm right, and you don't need to open your mouth. I need to hear from you that you heard what I said. Was there another one? I'm going to tell you everything you're doing wrong. What I hear in my head is, put your seatbelt on. We're going for a ride, and you're going to like it because you need to hear it. Now, I paused one day, and I go, wait a minute. Is that actually what she said? Did she actually say we're going for a ride? Now, we men are so smart that we always translate a woman's words correctly. Nod with me, yes. There's no way that from her mouth to my ears, a dark entity turned the words, twisted it, because why would he ever want to take a woman's sincere expression and hurt me with it? That would be so weird. There's your wife, and there's you in the room, and she says something, and you hear something different from what she says, and because Satan doesn't exist, there's only two people you can blame. Either we blame her for what she really meant, that we're omniscient about, because we know exactly what she meant to say, or we are the ones who twisted her words to scare us, to cause us to shut down, to flood us. She wanted the conversation to be dead right then, and that's why she said, "I've been thinking," right? It's the only logical explanation, because I'm definitely not the one who wanted to ruin the conversation. We know that we're not the one ruining it, so if it's not you, it has to be her. Or there's a third person in the room. In our religion, we believe that the Holy Ghost can play a part in improving communication. Is if you do verbal intimacy correctly, which basically encapsulates you help the Spirit stay present when Satan's trying to ruin the conversation at the base level. If you know that you are triggered by your wife saying, "I've been thinking," then I invite you to do what a military guy does, and you prepare a response that is actually productive. She says, "I've been thinking." Imagine if your first thing you did was you make sure you check to see if you're interpreting the phrase correctly.
If you're finding this video helpful or want to help us reach others in need, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it really supports our channel. Thank you.
Think of your wife and consider the possibility of something productive and constructive that she's trying to start if she says, "I've been thinking." Now, if you gave her the benefit of the doubt and you assumed she was trying to initiate something positive, what would the translation of her words be instead of the one you've usually been experiencing? Who wants to try this one out? I know it's challenging. Great, I have some ideas and I would like your input on them. We could even add something like, "And then I would love to hear what you've been thinking." I invite you, if you're not experiencing an automatic, accurate interpretation of your wife's intent, please write it down at your best guess with a positive assumption, and then check with her before the conversation. Imagine if you go to your wife when there's not a conflict and you say, "Hey wife, there's this thing that you say sometimes. You say, 'I've been thinking.' Can you tell me what you mean by that?" Like, that might be like asking a Japanese person to translate their words into English when they don't know any English. So she may not have the ability. She might only say, "It means I've been thinking." And you go, "Does it mean anything else?" "Well, it means I've been thinking and I want to talk about it." Now, it's scary to ask, "So are you saying that you want me to shut up and listen to you and do whatever you say?" No, I don't want you to shut up and just listen and do whatever I say. "Oh, yeah, you do. I know that's what you do." See, that'll just kill the conversation really fast. You have to be sincerely interested in the accurate interpretation of her words. In the meantime, until you achieve that, think of two people who've met each other who speak different languages. What is important about the spirit of their interaction if it's actually going to go anywhere? If they get frustrated with each other, they'll disengage. If they get irritated, if they get mad at each other, they'll disengage. As long as they're pleasantly encouraging, they're likely to start to understand each other. There you are, minding your own business. Your wife comes in and says, "I've been thinking." You experience the thought interpretation distortion flash. How long does it take for you to hear something like, "You're in trouble now, you're going to do whatever I tell you to do, and your thoughts don't matter"? That's why we call it a flash. Okay, so what happens next? Chemicals hit our system and we have feelings. What do men do when they have feelings? They stop and share, right? Nod with me. "What feeling? What? What are you talking about? I'm not feeling anything." "You seem frustrated. You seem irritated." "I'm not irritated." "You seem angry." "I'm not mad." "At least I wasn't until you walked in and said, 'We need to talk.'" See, you caused it. You triggered me. I had feelings. I have no choice but to behave like this. So he behaves and has this response, and she experiences her own satanic interpretation. You know what? When he leans leans forward that, you know what he really wants to do? He wants to punch you in the head. Okay, that's the only possible explanation for him leaning forward and saying, you want to talk? Let's talk. What kind of chemical reaction do you think a woman feels when a man your size looks like you might punch her in the head? Then she has some feelings. I don't feel safe. Do we all love to hear the I don't feel safe one? That's like our top favorite one, right? Like, I don't feel safe. You're like, what are you even talking about? Okay, so she says, I don't feel safe. And what is the satanic interpretation of when a woman says, I don't feel safe? Well, this conversation's gone to hell in a handbasket right off the bat. Like, we can't get anywhere now. Once she says, I don't feel safe, we're screwed. I can't do anything. I'm stuck. I'm powerless. Then he starts to go like this. So one minute he's angry, the next minute he's falling backward in his chair. So that's his behavior. What does she experience as an interpretation of him going like this? Who wants to talk woman talk for me for a second? He's giving up. He doesn't care anymore. So then she's all, fine, I don't care. Now she's throwing things down. You're like, see? Right there. Okay, brethren, do I need to go any further? I tried to be very explicit with this double spin thing. Which one of you started it? Did she start it or did you start it? Now, for those of you who are veterans, what's wrong with the question? We're only talking about two people when there's actually three. Because if you're experiencing a distorted interpretation of what she said, the scientist will tell you that you are twisting her words. Now, this one I know you can give me with integrity. When was the last time you took a woman's words and twisted them consciously, intentionally to hurt yourself? You know what, babe? I would like to take your words and hurt myself with those words. I would like to cause your words to trigger me. I would like to make myself feel more pain. You consider yourself a pessimist and you don't mind the label, I am a pessimist, I'm going to assume the worst, then you may be a cause of that filter. You may be the one twisting the words. But my experience with men is they're not pessimists. At worst, they're realists. They hear things in their heads like, based on what I'm observing in this marriage, it's going to take us a year to fix this at best. You their case, and I go, you know what? You came to the right conclusion. Based on my assessment of your relationship, it is going to take a year. What do we do as men? Do we just go, that'll take a year, therefore I'm not going to try? It's going to take a year, therefore it's too much work for me? It's going to take a year and I've been married for 30 years, so why should I put a year into it? The phrase, it's going to take a year, can be satanically stimulated, or it can be hopeful. Like, now that we have the tools, it's only going to take a year. When I tell people the Lazarus lectures and the marriage repair workshop is only 40 weeks, they usually go, only? What do you mean only? How long did you think it was going to take? I never thought about how long it should take to repair a marriage in this condition. Well, I'd like it to take 1 month. Sure, I'd like it to take 1 month too. What about 2 months? Okay, that'd be nice. But the fastest I've ever seen a relationship go through the full healing process is 40 weeks. I've got a few ambitious men that are going for the 30-week plan or the 20-week plan, and I'm supportive of that as long as you keep trying hard, but you need to build all the layers a little bit at a time. As you're attempting to do this, you're going to find yourself misbehaving along the way. But it's really important that you become familiar with your own misbehaviors, even more than hers. There's the fight version of it. Yelling, name-calling, gaslighting, threats, verbal spanking. You know, you shouldn't be like this. You know, you're doing it wrong. Verbal clawing. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That's a common one for the women, but men will do it too. Cold walkouts versus comforting walkout or being passive-aggressive. Freezing. Most of us men are good at freezing. Just sit there and drool on yourself. Just get glazed over and wait for she's all mom, and you're like, I know I can't leave. I know I can't like engage. I'm just gonna sit here and let the drool run off my chin. If this happens, we invite you to go back and use the tool that we've been practicing for some time called the DPAR, Discover, Plan, Act, Reflect, and actually reflect and discover new and wiser ways to handle things.